Japan is regarded as one of the largest overseas investors globally. They have bought shares in major foreign companies, to opening up factories in developing countries like Southeast Asia and India, and even provided loans, billions of dollars worth of loans, to help nations fix their economies and become developed themselves. But have you ever wondered just how much Japan has invested overseas? That's because it's not a small figure itself. Let's look up just how big their overseas investments are by talking about Japan's international investment position for the year of 2023, as published by the Ministry of Finance in Japan. The International Investment Position, also known as the IIP, is a financial statement that summarizes a country's foreign assets and liabilities at a particular point in time. It shows a nation's investments abroad, compared to how much foreign investors have placed within its borders. Let's first talk about how much Japan's investments are beyond their borders. Here's a table of the IIP assets of Japan. It shows you that they have direct investments worth 307 trillion yen, which is about $2.06 trillion, a figure that is even larger than many economies' GDP. Yet, as you can see in this table, this is not even the largest form of assets they hold. But before we get to the other information out there, let's first talk about what direct investments are. Here's a table of what's under the direct investments. As you can see, it is composed of equity, other than reinvestment of earnings, and debt instruments. Let's first talk about equity. This refers to Japan's investments in shares or ownership stakes in foreign companies. It's one of the most interesting aspects about foreign investments. Let's take some of the largest examples out there. One of the largest ever foreign investments made by a Japanese company is into an investment bank called Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley is known as one of the largest businesses in the United States. As of the time of writing, the company is valued at over $215 billion, making it the 52nd largest company globally. That makes them more valuable than companies like McDonald's, Walt Disney, and American Express. But did you know that this very company's largest shareholder is a Japanese company? This is where the equity investments come in. Here's a graph of the top shareholders in Morgan Stanley, and as you can see, the largest shareholder of Morgan Stanley is a company called Mitsubishi UFJ Financial Group, which is known as one of the leading businesses in all of Japan. They own over 23.4% of the entire Morgan Stanley company, which is a stake valued at over $29.33 billion. Now, beyond equity investments, there's also reinvestment of earnings and debt instruments. Reinvestment of earnings are basically the profits generated by Japanese-owned businesses abroad that are reinvested back into those businesses rather than being repatriated to Japan. For instance, Toyota, one of Japan's most iconic companies, operates manufacturing plants across the globe, including in the United States, Europe, and Southeast Asia. Instead of sending all profits back to Japan, Toyota often reinvests earnings into these local operations by expanding production lines, upgrading technologies, or building new facilities. Debt instruments, a key category under Japan's IIP, refer to loans and other forms of financing provided across borders by Japanese firms or financial institutions. For example, the Japan Bank for International Cooperation, JBIC, plays a vital role in financing international infrastructure projects, particularly in Southeast Asia. These then fall into the debt instruments category. Beyond direct investments, the second one that we'll discuss are portfolio investments. The amount in the portfolio investments are massive, double than that of direct investments at over 617 trillion yen, which is about $4.13 trillion. Here's a summarized table of the portfolio investments. It's quite similar to direct investment, right? You have equity and investment fund shares or units, and debt securities. But there's a difference between portfolio investment and direct investments, and it lies in the nature of ownership and control. Direct investments involve a significant degree of influence or control over the foreign entity, typically through equity stakes exceeding 10% ownership. As we mentioned earlier, Mitsubishi UFJ held more than 10% ownership stake in Morgan Stanley, 23.4% to be exact. Portfolio investments, on the other hand, are more passive in nature, focusing on financial returns rather than control or influence. These typically include equity stakes below 10%, bonds, and other securities. One good example here is the investment fund shares, or units. These can be investments in schemes like mutual funds or ETFs, which are designed to pool resources from multiple investors to invest in a diversified portfolio of assets, such as stocks, bonds, or other securities. Key examples here are the likes of the Government Pension Investment Fund, GPIF, which is reported to be the largest pool of retirement savings in the world. The GPIF then invests in these mutual funds to optimize returns while maintaining a low-risk profile. There's also the debt securities in portfolio investments. These are fixed income instruments such as government bonds, corporate bonds, and other securities that provide predictable returns over time. One key example is US Treasury bonds, where Japan consistently ranks as one of the largest foreign holders. As a matter of fact, Japan is actually a holder of over 1.1 trillion in US Treasury securities as of April 2024, which is much higher than China, the UK, or any other major economy out there. There are also other investments in the table of assets in the IIP. There are financial derivatives, other than reserves, which are financial contracts whose value is derived from the performance of an underlying asset, index, or interest rate. Then, there's also other investments valued at 317 trillion yen, and finally reserve assets which are worth 183 trillion yen. Reserve assets are composed of gold, special drawing rights, IMF reserve positions, and foreign currencies. These are managed by a country's monetary authority or central bank. But, as you can see, we have a total of over 1,488 billion yen in assets for their international investment position in Japan. Just how much is this in US dollars? Well, it's over $9.92 trillion. But that's if we use the exchange rate of 150 yen to $1. Back in 2023, which is when the data was published, the yen was trading 140 to $1. If we were to adjust it to that rate, it would approximately be $10.63 trillion. This figure alone is indeed so much more than any other major economy's GDP out there. It is even more than double the size of Japan's GDP, which sits at just $4.2 trillion as reported by the IMF. And if this was the GDP of a country, it would also be the third largest out there. But of course, investments and GDP are not the same, so it's all just for entertainment purposes. Now, just like how Japan has assets in its IIP, it also has liabilities. Liabilities in the IIP, as we mentioned earlier, are the obligations or claims that foreign investors have on a country's economy. It could be in the form of foreign direct investments, loans, deposits, or other types of financial obligations. And it is very similar to the assets, so we'll summarize it up a bit. As you can see, the total amounts to just 1,017 billion yen, or $6.78 trillion. While it is big, it is less than their assets, which totals to nearly $10 trillion. The net international investment position of Japan, therefore, is 471 trillion yen, or about $3.14 trillion. But anyway, do let us know what you think. Thanks for watching.